às vezes possa fazer. Apagaram as luzes pra eu ver. Saí da onde eu poder ser. Você mostrou o caminho pra eu andar. Eu disse pelo mar que eu vou nadar. Não é só na vida que a vida. Não é na janela que se olha. Há uma linha clara perto da saída. Fecha os olhos e você vai ver. Não é só aqui que o sol ilumina. Coisas do além que vão além. Quando de repente é coincidência, nem precisa ser esforçar pra crer. Apagaram as luzes pra eu ver. Saí da onde eu poder ser. Você mostrou o caminho pra eu andar. Eu disse pelo mar que eu vou nadar.
Recordings just got better.
Oh, I'm sure they fucking did. But you can't avoid fucking live stream interruptions ever because StreamYard just bombards you with shit. Fair use, guys. Fair use. Don't let anybody fool you. A lot of this music, fair use, you guys. So don't bullshit yourself. You put in that stuff, the copyright, all that good shit. If it's a fair use, we're not making money off it. Neither am I. None of us can make money off of YouTube. Gotta just do this for fun. I'm vibing myself, bro.
Sometimes it is hard. Sometimes it is hard. It's even when I don't know what to say. Sometimes it is hard. Maybe just a bit. So hard to please. This is like an ocean. Maybe take it easy, getting closer. All of this this is colder. You know. Sometimes it is hard. Sometimes it is harder. Feels like this is hard. It's even getting much darker. Even when I'm not I remember what you would say. Sometimes it is hard. Maybe just a bit. Think about the stuff we play. How I do that instead. Baby, think about the stuff we play. How I do that instead. Baby, think about the stuff we play. How I do that instead.
I just met you, but you love you. Oh, girl, you blow my mind. I know what I would like to do, but you just keep on talking. Your dog needs walking. Your folks like keep on saying, I know, yeah, that's true. Of course, you ain't the one to keep on talking to me. Keep on telling me your dreams. Keep on talking to me. But I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you sure, I like to listen. It's not like I don't want to know. It's just that you've been talking to me 3 nights in a row. It's time to let go. Forget the past, you still control. Cause life's too short for you. Come on and down, got me so. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking. You keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me you keep on talking to me. You keep on talking, but I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna.
Feels like a dream, feels like magic.
Here you go again, more commercials, kids. Here we go. Here we go.
What a night. People dancing in slow motion, blurry eyes. But I've had enough. It's time to say goodbye. 3 a.m. outside, walking home with a smile. Slowly move like a shiver. All the shadows fade away. All the streets are empty, lights begin to sway. 4 a.m. as I think, oh, Jakarta. Sometimes I picture how in Paris or New York or Shanghai. But what they say, east or west, our home is morning rain, golden sunlight as the city wakes. Oh, my love for you will never fade away. as I sing. Oh, Stockholm sometimes I picture how life can be. In Paris or New York or Shanghai. But you know what they say. East or west or home. Morning rays of the sunlight as the city. Oh, my love for you will never fade away. 5 a.m. as we say, oh, Stockholm I've been trying to keep my distance. I just want to play my cards right. It takes one false move and you'll be gone. But maybe it's alright. I can't tell you it's the right moment. But maybe anyhow, I can't hold it anymore. 'Cause it's starting to come out. It's starting to come out. And it's only when you want to know it to. Yeah, it's starting to come out. It's starting to come out. Save on for that. Save on for that, baby. So precious, I want some coffee, something sweet. Huh? And sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in the visions like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. All of this making it is colder. You know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm hard. Things keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm trying to move on, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. Maybe just a very bitter. I'm scrappy, I'm strong, excited. Up to my knees. Keep losing sleep, I'm back at midnight. So hard to please. Drowning in the visions like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. All of this making it is colder. You know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm hard. Things keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm trying to move on, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. Maybe just a very bitter. Think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. Keep scrolling down the line, baby. Think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. Keep scrolling down the line, baby. Think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. Keep scrolling down the line, baby. Think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. Keep scrolling down the line. I know that I just met you, but you love you. Oh, girl, you blow my mind. I know what I would like to do, but you just keep on talking. I see your darling's walking. Your folk like you can say, I know, yeah, that's true. Of course, you ain't the one to say. Keep on talking to me. Keep on telling me your dreams. Keep on talking to me. But I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you sure, I like to listen. It's not like I don't want to know. It's just that you've been talking 2 and 3 nights in a row. It's time to let go. Forget the past, you still control. Cause life's too short for yesterday. Come on and down, got me so. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking. You keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking. But I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move.
I know who you are.
Me too. I know who you are, motherfucker. This Van Dyke. Your fan shop.
What a night, people dancing in slow motion, blurry eyes. But I've had enough, it's time to say goodbye. Walking home with a smile, slowly move like a shiver. All the shadows fade away. All the streets are empty, lights begin to sway. As I oh, sometimes I picture our lives ending in Paris or New York or Shanghai. But you know what they say, east or west, our home is rays, golden sunlight as the city waves. Oh, my love for you will never fade away. My way as I sing, oh, stuck on love. Stuck on sometimes I picture our lives in Paris or New York or Shanghai. But you know what they say, east or west, our sunlight as the city. Oh, my love for you will never fade away. My baby, as I say, oh, stuck on
Say what's alright. It's not hard to fool me, 'cause I'm addicted to your pride. Nothing to say. With me, I You guys haven't figured it out by now? I don't give a fuck. So if I find something that's cool, I'm gonna give that person credit for it. But all I'm doing right now is just teaching you guys how to gold gild, and I don't need to have any kind of stuff that's not for fair use.
What are you doing right now?
I'm painting this shit,
If you're
asshole.
watching
What the
this
fuck
video,
you think I'm
chances
doing?
are you'll be sitting down somewhere.
I am sitting on
And
the
when you're
floor.
sitting down, you're stationary, right?
Of course I am, dickweed.
Wrong.
What?
Well, sort of wrong. Well, you may be stationary on Earth's surface. Right now, Earth itself is
How much
moving,
fucking weed did you
hurtling through
smoke?
space at speeds of around 30 kilometers per
Maybe
second.
you are. But if I smoked as much weed as that guy, I wouldn't be going 30
The
kilometers
sun is
anywhere.
also moving at speeds of around 220 kilometers per second, dragging our entire solar system with it.
You
as
mean
it
dragging your
orbits the
ass with
galactic
it?
tide of the Milky Way.
This guy's so fucking full of shit.
Of course, we don't feel either of these movements.
Of course you don't, because you're full of
Gravity keeps us
shit.
bolted down for the ride. But elsewhere in space, and given enough time, everything moves and everything flows.
Just because you're in
Nothing
space doesn't
remains
mean anybody
stationary
else
in
is.
space. But what is it that makes the galaxy move?
You asking me?
Well, that's going to be our topic today, and it makes for one of astronomy's most intriguing mysteries.
I'm not the guy you're asking.
Video, everything in our local universe for millions of light years,
Oh,
including the Milky Way
shit.
and the local group, is being dragged through space.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Just to make this clear, as soon as I get glue on my shirt, you know I'm not talking about fucking aerospace dynamics. So keep it up. We're listening.
The void towards a gravitational focal point which we cannot see.
Of course
And
not.
whatever it is, it exerts an astonishing, almost godlike influence on the vast swathes of space around it. It is the mystery of the Great Attractor. The Milky Way is a vast, ancient, and structured collection of hundreds of billions of stars, known as a galaxy.
Duh.
The universe is teeming with them, many larger and more densely packed with stars than our own. And when this many stars come together, gravity allows them to work as a coherent structure, with a much stronger gravitational influence. Galaxies are so incredibly massive that they can attract one another from millions of light years across space, sometimes getting close enough to collide, producing new, larger galaxies. However, the space between galaxies is significantly more voluminous than the galaxies themselves, and there is another force at work. Space itself is expanding, including the space between galaxies, which pushes them apart faster than they can attract one another, spreading the contents of the universe more sparsely. This is known as the Hubble flow. Galaxies are, for the most part, receding away from all other galaxies uniformly as the universe grows. Consequentially, most galaxies are not close enough to collide with their neighbours. Only very small localized pockets of space, like our local group, will be dense enough to collapse into a single structure. However, While they may not be destined to collide, dense concentrations of galaxies can still exert influences on one another, bringing them close enough that the combined gravitational potential of the galaxies attracts more remote galaxies, creating denser concentrations and emptying out the space in between in a self-sustaining process. This forms the overarching structure that stretches across our entire universe, the cosmic web. Kind of like a sponge, there are areas of matter which branch in every direction, and large empty swathes in between. The cosmic web is composed of enormous walls of interacting galaxies, known as galaxy filaments, and these can contain hundreds of thousands of galaxies and span over billions of light years. The galaxies within these filaments migrate through paths within the structure, and streams of interacting galaxies flow, converge, and diverge like great cosmic water flows over distances difficult to comprehend. The individual thread-like components of a galaxy filament are known as galaxy clusters and superclusters. Smaller groupings of tens, hundreds, or perhaps thousands of galaxies, which are more concentrated than the overall density of the filament, and thus have more substantial interactions with one another. In truth, the lines between clusters, superclusters, and filaments are slightly fuzzy, primarily because we didn't realize that galaxy structures of filament size could exist when we coined the other terms. We knew galaxies could cluster up, but we never thought that they would be able to interact over billions of light years. How wrong we were. Over the past 40 years, we have managed to build up a comprehensive three-dimensional map of intergalactic space, and we now know a considerable amount about our large-scale surroundings. Not bad for a tiny world existing in the blink of an eye on a galactic timescale. We know that our local group, which contains us, Andromeda, the Triangulum Galaxy, and more than 100 other small satellite dwarf galaxies, is situated in a relatively outlying region to a cluster of more than 1,300 galaxies, known as the Virgo cluster. This cluster happens to be the gravitational core of a much larger colony, containing over 100 galaxy groups like ours, called the Virgo supercluster. One of more than an estimated 10 million galaxy superclusters in the observable universe. The Virgo supercluster extends over an area of more than 110 million light years, and it is thought to be over 7,000 times as massive as the local group, enough to exert a considerable influence on its intergalactic neighborhood. But the cluster network doesn't end here either. A groundbreaking study in 2014, published by scientists at the University of Hawaii, revealed that the Virgo supercluster is just one component of an even greater network of almost unknowable intricacy and scale. Our home galactic supercluster, Laniakea. The Laniakea supercluster extends over 500 million light years across space and is home to more than 100,000 galaxies. It is so vast that, for a long time, we didn't realize that its constituent superclusters were connected. Laniakea consists of 4 main galaxy superclusters: us and the rest of the Virgo supercluster, the Hydra Centaurus supercluster, the Pavo Indus supercluster, and the Southern supercluster. And despite their enormous cosmic distances from each other, they interlink to create a plethora of flows across space. Because the Laniakea supercluster is so large, it is not dense enough to be gravitationally bound. And so, as the universe expands, instead of coming together and condensing further, it should instead get caught up in the Hubble flow, dispersing the supercluster. But that's not what we are observing in practice, or at least not all of what we're observing. In addition to the universe's expansion elongating the structure, the entirety of the supercluster appears to be being attracted to whatever is in this area. The question is, what could possibly be there that is powerful enough to unite galactic superstructures of this size? Flows of galaxies aren't uncommon within galaxy walls. But this is more than just the flow. There is a gravitational anomaly here with enormous power, which is anchoring the entire cluster together and making it move, like a sinkhole to a 500 million light-year basin. This anomaly is what we mean when we say the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor is the somewhat ominous name given to the gravitational focal point of the Laniakea supercluster, thought to lie somewhere
I'm not.
around
Oh no, man, this is
250
live as
million
shit, bro.
light-years away
I
from the
ain't.
Milky Way.
No, man, this is live,
And it is
bro.
attracting the contents of the cluster towards it.
Me
Everything
talking,
for
no.
hundreds of millions of light years is attracted to and flowing towards this one region, which means one of two things. Either there is an unusually high concentration of mass there, like an ultramassive or dense galaxy cluster, or perhaps something stranger, like a monstrous intergalactic black
Since
hole,
my hands are
or
full,
a
I
mysterious
can't
dark
be in the
force
chat.
which is counteracting the universe's expansion. In reality, it is likely to be the product of a dense galaxy supercluster, so massive that it is influencing the entirety of the Virgo supercluster as well as the other clusters around it. But whatever it is, there is one fundamental issue. We can't see it. In addition to the nature of the source itself, one of the main things that makes the Great Attractor mystery so intriguing, yet infuriating, is its location. It lies in an area of the sky which is blocked out by the Milky Way's galactic plane from the point of view of the Earth. Because of where the solar system lies in relation to the Milky Way's galactic plane, its bright illuminated core and dark dusty clouds extinguish the light reaching the galaxy from behind, blocking out approximately 1/5 of our field of view. This area is known as the zone of avoidance, where the galaxy's features make it virtually impossible to see or detect anything within or beyond it. There's nothing different about the space behind the zone of avoidance. It is just our position relative to the galactic core that is the problem. In fact, in about 100 million years or so, the Sun will have orbited the galaxy's central black hole, taking us to the other side of the Milky Way, where the backdrop of the zone of avoidance will be revealed. But that's going to take a very, very long time, and so for all intents and purposes, we are stuck on this side. And it just so happens that the largest gravitational anomaly in the local universe, which is dragging us and everything around us towards it, happens to lie behind this obstructed region. Ironic, right? It certainly makes for a genuinely interesting and somewhat unnerving mystery in astronomy, which troubled scientists for around 40 years. The first signs of the Great Attractor were detected in the 1970s when we realized that the Milky Way galaxy is moving through space. Back then, there was no way to see or detect anything behind the zone of avoidance. They didn't have the sophisticated technology that we have at our disposal today. And so, around 40 degrees of the sky remained unmapped and unknowable. However, as scientists began producing the first detailed maps of the cosmic microwave background, that is the primordial microwave radiation left over from the Big Bang which permeates all of space, they discovered what is known as the CMB dipole, a gradient in the temperature of the sky from one side to the other. Scientists quickly realized that this disparity is the result of the Milky Way moving through space, and the motion in the direction of the red area compresses the oncoming waves of radiation ever so slightly, causing that direction to appear slightly warmer. As we know, galaxies moving through space is not that unusual, as all galaxies are moving apart, largely in accordance with the Hubble flow. But things can affect this flow, namely gravity, and the gravity of objects around the galaxy.
This is live for sure.
The discrepancy between a galaxy's actual movement through space due to gravity, when compared with what one would expect in an expanding universe, is known as its peculiar velocity. In layman's terms, the speed at which a galaxy moves through space because of something other than the universe's expansion. When we tried to measure our peculiar velocity by tracking the Sun relative to the CMB, we discovered that we are moving towards the constellation of Centaurus at a speed of about 600 kilometers per second. And this isn't by chance either. Something in that area is attracting us, but wherever we were headed, it was situated behind the zone of avoidance. And so the cause of this peculiar velocity remained a topic of fierce debate and speculation for many years. Initial hypotheses were that there were just simply more galaxies in the direction of the zone of avoidance, which we just couldn't see. The Milky Way's outlying position to the much denser Virgo cluster was also attributed as a possible cause. However, while the Virgo cluster could attract us with its gravity, it is not nearly massive enough to explain the speed at which we
Oh, you shut up.
in 3D during the 1980s, we realized that not only are we moving towards this gravitational anomaly in Centaurus, but so are the galaxies both above and below the zone of avoidance. The power of the source was much greater than once thought. In 1986, it was estimated that the source of this anomaly lies between 150 million and 220 million light years away. And 2 years later, an international team of researchers, led by Donald Lyndon Bell, proposed that the observed motions of 400 elliptical galaxies were best fitted by a large bulk flow of galaxies towards a so-called Great Attractor, lurking behind the zone of avoidance. And thus the term was coined. While we didn't know what was causing the Great Attractor, in order to explain our peculiar velocity, as well as the motions of so many galaxies around us, the source of the Great Attractor was predicted to be around 10 quintillion times the mass of the Sun. That's 10 million billion suns, equivalent to many thousands of massive galaxies. And so naturally, astronomers were keen to establish exactly what was lurking in the dark. Back when it was first noted, our search for the Great Attractor was severely hindered by the zone of avoidance. But times have changed and technology has vastly improved. For one thing, we're not simply limited to observing visible light anymore. While the Milky Way's plane might be opaque to light that we can see, radio and infrared emissions from galaxy superclusters outside of the Milky Way are capable of penetrating the galaxy's clouds, even if only slightly. This gives us some idea of what could lie beyond the avoidance zone, albeit a very limited picture. Instead, the best means we have of seeing behind the zone of avoidance is through X-rays. X-rays are another kind of electromagnetic radiation, like visible light, radio, and infrared. Like the latter, X-rays can also pass through the opaque galactic plane and are emitted by galaxy superclusters. In addition, there are far fewer X-ray emitting sources in space than there are sources of infrared and radio waves, making supercluster X-ray emitters easier to identify. In 1996, using data from the ROSAT microwave mission, a team of researchers, led by South African astrophysicist René Kraan-Korteweg, discovered evidence for a galaxy supercluster within the zone of avoidance that had previously evaded detection, now thought to be a key galactic concentration at the heart of the Great Attractor. While the cluster had been undetectable through visible light within an area spanning just 2 degrees of the sky, by plotting the X-ray sources identified by ROSAT onto the area, a significant galaxy cluster is revealed in the backdrop, known as Arbel 3627, also known as the Norma cluster. The Norma cluster lies around 220 million light years away from the Earth and is thought to be very close to the proposed heart of the Great Attractor. And it is thought to have a mass in the region of 1 quadrillion times that of our Sun. And so we realized that the Great Attractor was probably a supercluster with Arbel 3627 near its core. However, even at the time, the team knew that the Norma cluster probably didn't account for the full picture. While it is massive, it didn't seem massive enough to account for the peculiar velocity of the Milky Way. Something else must be at work. But unfortunately, we were still limited in what we could observe due to the obscured zone. And so, the mystery remained inconclusive heading into the new millennium. While many scientists agree that the Great Attractor is the result of a dense galaxy concentration, I should take this opportunity to mention that it is by no means the only theory. There were those who refuted the idea of a galaxy supercluster being responsible due to the incomparable scale of its influence when compared with other cosmic structures. In fact, because the universe's expansion is thought to be powered and accelerated by a phenomenon known as dark energy, there are those who suggest that only something equally as dark would be sufficient to overcome it. Dark in the sense that it is unknown and beyond our realm of understanding. This brings us onto a branch of alternate explanations for the Great Attractor. The idea that instead of a galaxy supercluster attracting us, a mysterious, undiscovered force is responsible for the bulk flows of galaxies that we see in Laniakea, like enormous jet stream air currents in the vacuum of space. This idea is called dark flow, and it is defined as a non-random component of the universe's expansion which deviates from the Hubble flow, causing galaxies to stream towards a single point like the Great Attractor, rather than receding away from one another as one might expect. If this is the case, and there is something darker at play than we yet realize, then perhaps we might be able to see evidence of a gigantic flow mechanism by searching for something at the opposite end of the Great Attractor, a great repeller, if you would. While that might sound a bit outlandish, in 2017 we did see something just like this, the dipole repeller. Just as all galaxies in the Laniakea supercluster are flowing towards the Great Attractor, they all seem to be flowing away from an area on the opposite end of the supercluster, a region which appears to be pushing its galaxies outwards and setting them on their galactic paths towards the Great Attractor. Perhaps the Great Attractor and the dipole repeller are part of some dark cosmic system capable of overcoming the effects of the universe's expansion. However, while the dipole repeller may seem anomalous and indicative of something more spooky, dark flow certainly doesn't need to exist to explain it. In fact, the dipole repeller probably isn't even an anomaly, but rather a natural byproduct of galaxy cluster formation. As the compound process of galaxies gathering and attracting more galaxies creates denser galaxy clusters, this process in turn empties out the space around the cluster, creating voids between clumps of galaxies. The more populous and massive the galaxy cluster, the more voids will form around it, as areas are raided for their galaxies to feed the structure. And so, while it may seem like galaxies are being pushed away from the dipole repeller, in reality nothing is pushing them, only the pulling force of gravity. And the dipole repeller is merely just an area which has had its galaxies emptied out by massive influences, which holds the appearance of a so-called virtual repeller. So then, if there is no dark force at work to produce these flows, then what is causing us to move so fast, if not the clusters in the region of the Great Attractor? In the early 2000s, a study called the Clusters in the Zone of Avoidance Project, or CESA, selected X-ray signatures recorded by the ROSAT mission for follow-up and investigation with newer, more effective X-ray technology. The aim of the project was to map this final portion of the sky in the zone of avoidance that remained uncharted for so many years, and also to focus in on what makes the region of the Great Attractor so great. In doing so, they identified over 200 previously undiscovered galaxy clusters in galactic no man's land, including in the proposed region of the Great Attractor. However, these clusters were found to be significantly less massive than what was once predicted to account for our peculiar velocity, only a tenth of the proposed mass, in fact. In reality, the Great Attractor is not nearly as great as we once thought. While it is the focal point of the Laniakea supercluster which is dragging us towards it, it is not the only thing influencing us. Instead, the Caesar survey revealed a substantial concentration of galaxies much further beyond the Great Attractor, near the Shapley supercluster. The Shapley supercluster is one of the most studied of its kind, with its 25 constituent galaxy clusters marked here in blue. It is situated around 650 million light-years away from the Milky Way, and while it was discovered in the 1930s by Harlow Shapley, it didn't become a topic of interest until the late 90s and the advent of better technology. But from 1997 until 2001, no less than 40 scientific papers were published on the cluster, and in 2005, Caesar discovered a concentrated region of galaxies in the vicinity of the Shapley supercluster, nicknamed the Shapley Attractor, an even greater and more massive galactic overdensity than the Great Attractor, lying around 500 million light-years away.
All right.
In total, Shapley is home to more than 8,000 galaxies and has a mass equivalent
So
to
this
about
could be about
10,000 times.
8,000 years old. All right, so what we're looking at here is the grill of a 1969 chicken bus I bought here in Mexico. And what I just taught you guys how to do is gold gilding, but I'm doing it with copper instead of gold. You can buy these kits on eBay for about 15 bucks. And as you saw, I had like sheets of this aluminum foil. It's super, super thin. It's what women put on their fingernails, I think. And but I got a whole books of them in silver, in gold, and in copper. And I got it off of the Mexican version of eBay. So all you need to do is you get the special glue. If you don't want to buy their fancy glue, get some Elmer's glue, put some alcohol in or some water in it, thin it out, and then make it thick again. And then just paint on your glue and then put your sheets on and then press them on and then wait for them to dry. I don't wait for them to dry because I'm doing an antique effect here. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I got dark spots. I got spots that are, what I'm trying to do is create a patina because this is the grill for the old truck. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do now, and we'll let this dry. I hope you guys enjoyed all that Kevin Samuels startup music at the beginning. I'm serious. If it's there, I'm gonna play it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about anything, dude. Just watch my stuff, see the kind of fucking fun shit I can do. I'm the Professor Yo. I'm out.